Okay, we'll begin. So yesterday we finished up looking at the value of a patent. What are the factors that feed in to the value of a patent? And the key factors we identified were the flow of profits, the flow of income, as represented by pi, and then the interest or discount rate, given that money now is worth more than money in the future. If you get money now, you can put it on deposit and earn interest. If you get the money in the future, you lose that opportunity. So the cost of getting money in the future will relate to being the interest cost. So 1 plus r to the power of t is the discount factor. So t is the time periods, which generally will be years. So the further into the future you get money, the less valuable it is. So because of the to the power of t element, this discount factor will increase. The denominator will increase, so it could be 1 plus 0.05 if the interest rate was 5% to the power of t. So 1 year down the line, 2 years down the line, 10 years down the line. So the key factors in determining the value of a patent are the flow of funds, the income it generates, the discount factor, and also capital T. How many periods or years does a patent last for? How long can you expect to earn or collect this money? If the patent grants you monopoly powers, well, how long do you have those monopoly powers? So we've looked at different issues in relation to patents. Their coverage, what should be allowed to be patented, who should get them, a monopoly, or try to break it up between two. The last issue to look at when considering the design of patents is how long should they last? Is there an optimal duration? So when you're designing a patent system, what factors should you take into consideration? So remember, patents are a trade-off between access and availability. If you have patents, you limit access. You're making the good more expensive. You're granting somebody monopoly power, the ability to charge a price above marginal cost. But without the patent, you mightn't have the product in the first place at all. There might be no availability. So how much access do you want to grant? The more access you grant, the likelihood is the lower will be the availability. By granting the monopoly power, you're creating an incentive to innovate, to actually go and spend the R&D, to actually go and put in the time, to actually go and invest in actually creating a new product, a new idea, a new technology. The patent grants you that incentive, because if you come up with something, you can capture the benefits. If there was no patent, you're just inventing something for somebody else. As soon as the idea is created, it's non-rivalrous, anybody is free to use it. So by limiting access, what you're doing is providing an incentive to innovate. What you're hoping is that down the line, there'll be increased availability. So on the 1st of January, a copyright for authors who died 70 years ago expired. So the works of James Joyce entered into the public domain on the 1st of January. So previously, if you wanted to publish or use those works, you had to be granted access or get a license from Joyce's estate. I think it was run by his grandson, not quite sure. But on the 1st of January, that copyright expired. The work of James Joyce is now in the public domain. If you want to run a print copy of Ulysses, off you go. Even though somebody else wrote it, you can print and sell that book. So it's likely that Penguin already have Penguin classic editions of some of James Joyce's work ready to go to sell for €4 or €5. Whereas somebody wanted to buy a copy of that book before Christmas, it might have cost 15, 16, 20 euro. Because somebody owned the rights to it. And if they owned the rights, they could charge a price for it. So for copyright, it lasts for the lifetime of the author plus 70 years. What about with patents, when we're dealing with companies in general, but also with individuals? How long should we grant them the patent to a particular good technology or innovation? So we'll just look at a stylized example, as we've done with many of these things, to see how it might work and what is the optimal patent duration. So we'll consider that the lifetime of an innovation is divided into 3 equal periods. So we've 3 years, whatever it might be. There are 3 time periods. So 2 innovations can be produced at the beginning of the first period. So at R&D cost equal to C1 for innovation 1 and C2 for innovation 2. So the cost that has to be incurred, the initial fixed cost to actually come up with the idea in the first place. So 10, it doesn't matter what the units are for innovation 1, and 36 for innovation 2. If innovation 1 is protected by a patent, it generates a profit of pi t. So if you have innovation 1 and you own it, people out there may be willing to pay for it. The supernormal profit, the excess profit you can earn is equal to 10, and consumers get a utility of 2. So a consumer surplus of 2. So consumers are willing to pay for it, even if the price you're charging is higher than the marginal cost. Consumers, well, some consumers anyway, still think they're getting a higher benefit. They're willing to pay for it. So the surplus for them is 2. So this occurs in each period under patent protection. In the absence of a monopoly, competition will increase the total surplus because it will drive down the price. You don't have to pay rights holders, and consumers reap the full benefit. Under competition, price will equal marginal cost. We're not saying that Penguin won't make a profit when they're selling copies of Ulysses. They'll still make a profit, but it's just covering the marginal cost of producing the book, and then a normal rate of return, whatever a publisher should earn for just printing books. When it comes to publishing new books, there is an excess return because of copyright, because one publisher has the rights, whereas a book might cost €5 to produce. In general, if you have the rights to it, you can charge 15, 20, 25. So once the patent protection expires, consumer surplus increases. All those who weren't willing to pay €15 for a copy of Ulysses might be willing to spend €5. So consumer surplus increases, and it increases to 20. There is profit for the firm, but it's just normal profit. It's not a surplus, it's not an excess. Firms now are just earning a normal profit. So you can see that in the absence of patent protection, the utility for consumers is greater than the welfare created under patent protection. There is a dead weight loss of patent protection. Pi 1 plus U1 is 12. Society is better off without the patent protection. Consumer surplus is 20. So 20 will be greater than 12. So society is better off without the patent protection. So perhaps we should move there as quickly as possible. Why delay it any longer? If innovation 2, which is more costly, but also has a higher value, so it takes an R&D cost of 36 to produce, but it also provides greater value, greater benefit. If it is patent protected, it is assumed to generate profit equal to pi 2 equal to 12 for the innovator. So he'll earn a profit of 12 in each time period, and a utility of 4 for consumers. So the supernormal profit, the monopoly profit, is 12 in each time period, and the benefit to the consumers of innovation 2 is 4 in each time period. Without patent protection, when the price falls and quantity increases, the surplus for consumers is 24, and that's greater than the total welfare generated under patent protection, which is 12 plus 4 equal to 16. So these are our two products and our sort of stylized situation. How much does it cost to get them off the ground in the first place? Then if they're under patent protection, who gets the benefit? Most of it goes to the monopolist. If they come off patent protection, who gets the benefit? All of it goes to the consumer. So what then should be the optimal patent duration? When is welfare maximized? Should we have a short patent span, get something out in the market, cut the patent straight away, increase availability, increase access? Or should you have a long patent duration? Encourage costly innovation. Say, look, if you spend huge amounts of money on R&D, we'll give you a long time to get it back. So the problem for legislators is to set a patent duration that is long enough for both innovations to be produced. One monopoly period is enough to recoup the investment in innovation 1. Well, why is that? Well, the cost of producing innovation 1 is 10, and the profit earned in the first year of it is also 10. So if you have a patent for one period for innovation 1, you can recoup your full R&D costs. You spend C1 getting it to market. In period 1, you earn a profit of 10. So you've broken even. After that, then you can earn a normal profit. So the supernormal profit of one period allows you to recoup the R&D costs in getting the product to market. However, 3 monopoly periods are required to cover innovation 2. If the patents lasted for one period and you undertook the R&D in innovation 2, you've incurred a cost of 36. In one time period, you can earn a profit of 12. So a company weighs it up and says, look, this product will be very costly to innovate. It'll cost 36. If we get it to market and have a patent, we'll be a monopolist. We can charge a price over marginal cost. And in one period, we'll earn a profit of 12. If the patent then expires, well, that company then is left hanging for 24. It doesn't have the ability to earn the profit to recoup the outstanding 24 units of R&D cost that remain because its patent has expired and it faces competition. It's into a market where price would be driven down to marginal cost. It would cover the cost of production, but not the initial costs of research and innovation. So for innovation 2, you need 3 monopoly periods. So over 3 periods, they'll earn supernormal profits of 36, and that will allow them to recover the costs incurred. So the more costly the innovation, the longer the patent must be. But the issue is, you can't have different patent rules based on R&D costs. A patent has to last a fixed period of time, and a patent has to have universal duration. So if you extend patent protection to say, look, we want innovation 2 created, we want a cure for cancer, let's have patents that last 70 years. Let's encourage pharmaceutical companies to invest billions in targeting a particular cure for cancer. For all the cheap innovations, patents now also last 70 years. So something that can be innovated quite cheaply, you're saying to that company, look, you have it quite cheaply, but you have a monopoly now for 70 years. You might increase availability and get your cancer drug, but you'll hugely limit access. The things that are created quite cheaply are now under patent protection for 70 years. So if we want everything to be created, the duration of the patent should be 3 periods. If you want both innovation 1 and innovation 2 to be created, in this instance here, you must set patent duration at 3 periods. But let's see what happens under both of those outcomes. What is the total surplus or welfare outcome? How much costs are incurred by the firms, how much profits are earned by the firms, and how much utility is generated for consumers. So if the patent lasts 1 period, so in period 1, the welfare of society is because the firm has it under patent, they earn pi 1. Consumers get utility U1 and also the cost of C1. In period 2, innovation 1 goes off patent. Consumers get U1, capital U1. And in patent 3, the same thing occurs. The product is off patent and it's U1 for consumers. So over the 3 years, we have, let's add them up. I think this is 10 plus 2 minus 10. So that's 2 of a surplus generated in period 1, 20 in period 2, and 20 in period 3, for a total across the 3 periods of 42. When the patent lasts 1 period, we're just concerned with innovation 1. There's no concern for innovation 2. It doesn't enter into the analysis because it's not created in the first place. No firm is going to incur an R&D cost of 36, when all it can recoup is 12 for 1 period, and then its patent expires. So when the patent lasts 1 period, you're dealing with or have an outcome of 42, whatever the units are, in terms of surplus. If the patent lasts 3 periods, well, now we need to consider both innovations. Innovation 1 and innovation 2 are created. So if the patent lasts 3 periods, the company that produced innovation 1 can earn pi 1 in period 2 and in period 3. So period 1 stays exactly the same, but in period 2 the patent still exists. they earn 10 and consumers are getting 2, and in period 3 they have their patent, charge their price above marginal cost, they earn 10 and consumers earn 2. If the patent lasts 3 periods, we also get innovation 2 created. So the firm goes and spends the 36 because it can recoup 12 as a supernormal profit. That's in excess of normal profit in period 1, earn 12 in period 2, and then 12 in period 3. It recoups the R&D cost, and consumers get 4, 4, and 4. So when the patent lasts 3 periods, there's no expiry. At all times, the product is under patent protection. So what is welfare in this instance? Well, this is 2. This is 10 plus 2, 10 plus 2, that's 12. Over here you have 12 plus 4 minus 36. That gives us minus 20. This is 12 plus 4, and this is 12 plus 4, 16. So the total welfare outcome is 38. So where is welfare maximized? When all the innovations are produced, when the patent lasts 3 periods, or when only innovation 1 is produced, and the patent lasts for 1 period. When the patent lasts for 1 period, welfare is 42. Why is that? Well, we have some availability. Innovation 1 is created, but we have greater access. Once the patent expires after period 1, in period 2 and period 3, access is available to anybody who wants to use the idea. If you can produce the product cheaply and get it to market, you can do so. So total surplus is 42. When the patent lasts 3 periods, we have extra availability. Innovation 2 is created, but access is restricted for both innovation 1 and innovation 2. So the cost of the restricted access of innovation 1 outweighs the benefit of the increased availability of innovation 2, and welfare is thus lower. So the result is that a short patent generates more welfare than a long patent. So the welfare of a 3-period patent is less than the welfare of a 1-period patent. So a short patent is therefore preferable, even though it does not enable all the innovations to be produced. So if you want a cure for cancer, go and set your longer patents, and you will get it. Well, it'll take time and take billions and billions and billions of investment, but if you create the incentive, somebody will chase it. The issue is that once you've lengthened patents, things that can be produced cheaply are unavailable for longer. So this is a huge issue when it comes to sort of intellectual property rights and also international law. If a company is granted a patent in one country, does it apply in other countries? So sub-Saharan Africa is going through a huge crisis at the moment. There's many crises, I'd imagine, in that region, but one of the main ones is the AIDS crisis. Estimates of 25 to 35 million people have contracted the HIV virus, and the greater majority of them will see HIV develop into full-blown AIDS, and they'll die as a result of that. If in what we call the developed world, Europe, America, Australia, you contact the HIV virus, the likelihood is you will never develop AIDS. You will have a virus that is, in a sense, that you carry around but doesn't have a huge impact on your lifestyle. It's not a death sentence. There are antiretroviral drugs that can, in a sense, hold back the virus from breaking out into full-blown AIDS. The issue is that these treatments are largely under patent protection and can cost between 15 to 20,000, I'll give the price in US dollars per annum, maybe 12 to 15,000 euro. So you're talking a quite large cost for clearly a huge benefit for people to be able to stay alive. In sub-Saharan Africa, people wouldn't even have an income of $1,000 per annum. They might have the ability to pay 15 to 20,000 for a treatment that can delay and even prevent the onset of AIDS. So HIV in those countries is a death sentence. Within 4 to 5 years, those people will be dead. And in many cases, it can be a huge tragedy because it can be young children picking up HIV through their mothers. So this is a huge issue. But as a society, as a global society, We have the means of preventing it. We have the means to stop 35 million people developing AIDS. The issue is the cost. The countries in Africa can't afford it. There are some charitable organisations trying to purchase the drugs, but given the cost of it, that would eat into huge amounts of charitable donations, even into the budgets of the likes of the Gates Foundation, who might have 25 or 30 billion to spend. If they were just to target AIDS, it would consume that entire budget. And where would the money go? If Bill and Melinda Gates decided to eliminate AIDS in sub-Saharan Africa, clearly those sufferers in sub-Saharan Africa would benefit. But where would all the charitable money go? Who'd get the money? Who'd get the money? It's not a hard question, I don't think. If you want to cure AIDS, who will get the money? Yeah, the person that has the cure, yes, the pharmaceuticals. You'd be swelling the coffers of the pharmaceuticals by billions. They're charging monopoly profits. Does it cost 15 to 20,000 euro per annum to produce these drugs? Not in your Nelly. These things could probably produce for a couple of hundred. So this is the choice these countries face. And many of these countries are looking at it and saying, countries such as South Africa, looking at a crisis of HIV, who would have reasonable means, who would have raw or natural resources to allow them to raise some money to buy these drugs. The issue is they can't buy them off the patent holders. They're just too expensive. So what could countries in sub-Saharan Africa do? It's an idea. Copy it. Go over to America, buy 1 or 2 units of it, bring it back, get a couple of signs and say, repeat that. I don't care about their intellectual property right? I don't care about their patent. I've got people dying. So then you end up in international disputes where intellectual property right becomes the issue, where countries are forced or try to sign up to agreements to protect intellectual property rights. The argument being that we have the cure or a way of preventing HIV becoming AIDS, and if you break these intellectual property rights, we won't get the cure for the next big illness. Then why will these pharmaceuticals go and try to cure cancer if we're just going to steal their idea? So it's a huge and ongoing and at times a very emotive debate, because you're dealing with people's lives. If something is available, why not make it accessible? Why have such a high price that many of those who need a product can't have it? And this is perhaps one that really has no set answer. In the sort of stylized example here, it suggests a shorter patent is more desirable. But we don't really know what innovation 2 was. What did we lose out on that had a huge cost because we set a shorter duration? So the choice, the debate is ongoing and is unlikely to stop in the next few years. Freedom of information, the internet has made so the information flow more freely and products flow more freely. And you have huge markets in Brazil, sub-Saharan Africa, the subcontinent of India, China, where maybe the desire to uphold intellectual property rights now may not be as strong as perhaps elsewhere, because most of the valuable patents are held in the developed world, held in Europe, Japan, Australia, America. In time, maybe these areas would develop and perhaps undertake their own R&D and maybe see the benefits of limiting access in that instance, when the ideas are theirs. But when the idea is somebody else's, why not just use it? So that's the design of patents and some of the huge issues it creates. To finish, we'll just look at an example of a bit of a clip, a bit of a film, an episode of television, where the value of ideas is important. It's a bit whimsical, but take from it the value of ideas, the issues of access and availability, and when you can earn your profits. It is, of course, an episode of The Simpsons.